She was about to get a second chance, until she opened her mouth. In the quiet morning light of Providence, the courtroom hummed softly, a place where hundreds had stood before the same wooden bench, hopping for mercy from Judge Frank Caprio. The clock ticked toward 9, papers shuffled, and then the clerk called the next case. State of Rhode Island versus Linda Thompson, 3 parking violations, total fines, $800. Judge Caprio looked up from his papers. Across the room stood a woman in her late 50s. Weary eyes holding a worn manila folder to her chest. She looked like she hadn't slept much. "Good morning, ma'am," the judge said kindly. "What's your name?" "Linda Thompson, Your Honor." "Morning, Miss Thompson. You doing okay today?" She managed a faint smile. "I've been better, Judge. It's been a rough few months." He nodded gently. "All right, let's take a look at what's going on here. You've got 3 unpaid parking violations, 2 downtown, 1 near the VA hospital. Total comes to about $800 with penalties. That sound right?" Linda sighed. "Yes, sir. I didn't realize it got that high." "They add up fast," the judge said. "Were these your car?" "Yes," she said quickly, "but I have an explanation." He leaned forward. "All right, I'm listening. Tell me what happened." "I've been staying with my brother," she said, her voice trembling a little. "He's a Vietnam vet. He's sick, real sick, and I take him to his appointments at the VA. That's why I was parked near the hospital. I couldn't move the car while he was inside. The meters expired. And the tickets came." Judge Caprio glanced at the papers in front of him and noticed a note. "I see here the vehicle's registered to a veteran," he said softly. "Your brother's a Vietnam veteran." "Yes, sir. He served in '69. Agent Orange. Ruined his lungs. I'm just trying to help him out." The room fell silent. Even the people waiting for their cases watched quietly. The judge's voice softened. "First off, please tell your brother I said thank you. My generation remembers what those young men went through. I'm sorry to hear he's struggling." "Thank you, Judge," Linda said, her eyes glistening. "It's been hard, real hard." "Well," the judge said gently, "you were helping your brother parked by the VA. I can understand that. Sometimes life throws us more than we can juggle." He paused, studying her face. "I've been on this bench a long time, Ms. Thompson, and I've learned that sometimes people deserve a little grace, especially when they're doing something good for someone else. I think you might fit in that category." Her face lit up. "Oh, thank God, Judge, I really can't afford this." But before he could say more, she continued, her tone shifting. "I shouldn't even have gotten those tickets. I told the parking guy I was with a patient at the hospital and he still wrote it. I told him it wasn't fair. They're all just trying to make money off people like me." The warmth in the room cooled slightly. Judge Caprio tilted his head. "The parking officer wrote you a ticket while you were parked illegally, correct?" "Yeah," she said quickly, "but come on, Judge, they target people. They wait around like vultures. I've seen them. They don't give rich people tickets, just folks like me." "I don't think that's fair to say," the judge replied softly. "The officers have a job to do. You were parked beyond the meter, right?" "Yeah, but only because I had to," she snapped. "I told him that. He didn't care, you'd think. With all the stuff I'm dealing with, they'd show some compassion." Judge Caprio took a breath. "Sometimes compassion starts with us," he said. "You could have gone inside, asked for a temporary permit, or moved the car after the appointment. There are options." "I didn't have time for that, okay?" she shot back. "I'm not some lazy criminal. I'm a good person. You said it yourself. I'm helping my brother." The courtroom grew still again. The judge leaned forward, his eyes calm but steady. "Ms. Thompson," he said quietly, "I never said you weren't a good person. But being a good person doesn't mean we can ignore the rules that keep order in our community. I was about to dismiss these fines because I believed you acted out of compassion. But when compassion turns into entitlement, that's where things get difficult. Entitlement, she repeated, her voice rising. Seriously, you don't know what I've been through. You're right, the judge said, his tone heavy but controlled. I don't know everything you've been through, but I do know this: everyone who walks in here has a story. Some have cancer, some have lost their homes, some are veterans themselves. The ones who take responsibility leave with their dignity intact. The ones who blame everyone else leave with heavier hearts. Linda looked away, folding her arms. The judge sighed quietly. Ms. Thompson, I was prepared to reduce or even dismiss your fine this morning. I was ready to show mercy because of what you're going through. He paused, the compassion fading into firmness. But when mercy is met with bitterness, it loses its meaning. You had a chance to accept responsibility, even a small bit of it, and you chose not to. She stared at him. So that's it, you're just gonna make me pay? Yes, ma'am, he said softly. The total stands. You'll have time to arrange a payment plan with the clerk's office. I truly wish you and your brother the best, but this courtroom runs on. Respect both ways. She muttered under her breath, figures, systems rigged anyway. Caprio's hand rested on the gavel. He hesitated before speaking again. Ms. Thompson, he said gently, tell your brother thank you for his service. She stopped at the door. And remember, the judge added, his voice quiet but steady, his sacrifices deserve honor, not excuses. The gavel came down. The echo lingered like a heartbeat. The courtroom slowly emptied. Outside, the morning fog had lifted, sunlight spilling through the tall windows. Judge Caprio sat for a moment, silent, thoughtful. He finally spoke to no one in particular, his voice low. You know, people come in here expecting mercy, and I want to give it every time, but mercy isn't a free pass. It's a conversation. If you come in humble, the door opens. If you come in angry, it closes. He took off his glasses, rubbing his eyes. I think about that veteran, a man who fought in Vietnam, who carried the weight of his duty with pride. I wonder what he'd say if he saw his sister today. Maybe he'd tell her that accountability is also a kind of honor, because being right doesn't make you righteous, but being humble does. The courtroom grew quiet again, the hum of the city outside faint through the window. Sometimes mercy isn't about money, it's about the heart. Judge Caprio saw a woman who had been through pain, who was caring for someone who served his country, and for a moment compassion outweighed the law. But when that compassion met pride, the balance shifted. Responsibility doesn't erase struggle, it dignifies it. Because when we admit our wrongs, we show that hardship hasn't broken our spirit. The judge stood, looking out over Providence. We can't fix the world, he murmured, but maybe we can teach it to listen. He turned off the light and walked out, the echo of his footsteps fading down the hallway. And the narrator's voice returned one last time. Sometimes in Judge Caprio's courtroom, mercy is a gift, but humility is the key that unlocks it. She was about to get a second chance, until she opened her mouth. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Judge stories. And tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you were Judge Caprio? Because sometimes justice isn't just about the law, it's about the heart.